Does it make sense to buy a house in cash or get a mortgage? Perhaps you're interested in downsizing from a larger house to a smaller one, and you've got some equity built up, and you're considering buying this next house. Should you do it in cash or get a mortgage? Or maybe you just have the assets needed to buy the house outright without a mortgage. This is a big decision and one you shouldn't rush into. Before I like to make any big decision, I like to run the pros and cons. So in today's video, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run the pros and cons of buying a house in cash versus getting a mortgage. Hey everyone, this is Andy Hill from Marriage, Kids, and Money, a channel dedicated to helping you strengthen your family tree so you can live financially free. If you like what you hear today, please consider giving me the YouTube triple thanks. That's hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and then commenting down below. Thank you very much for considering it. Okay, let's talk pros and cons of getting a house in cash. Pro number one, simplifying the home purchase. When you buy a house in cash, the home purchase process can become a lot easier. Firstly, you don't have to apply for a mortgage. Yeah, for anyone who's had the home purchase process happen in their life before, you know the mortgage application and approval process can be long and tedious. I remember the process of getting approved for our last mortgage. In order to get approved, I had to scan a crazy amount of papers with one set of 9 documents. I remember this. I remember that I didn't scan the 9th paper because it was blank. I figured, why would they need a blank piece of paper? But by not sending over the blank sheet of paper, which was document 9 of 9, the complex mortgage process got held up even longer for a blank piece of paper. This is just a small example of the many steps it takes from mortgage pre-approval to final closing. Outside of the mortgage approval process, you can become more competitive in the home purchasing process as well. Some sellers prefer to work with cash buyers because they're aware of these arduous paperwork delays in the mortgage approval process. As a cash buyer, you could beat out the competition and get the home you really want a lot easier. Con number one, you could make more money in the stock market. Now, as an advocate of long-term buy and hold investing, there's no denying that you could make more money in the stock market if you didn't buy your home in cash. The average stock market return over the last century has been around 10%. Now, that's definitely not every year, but on average, over the long term, the stock market is a smart and lucrative place to invest your money. Let's say you get a mortgage rate of 5% or 6%. One could assume you'd make more money investing in the market versus buying your home in cash over the long term. But there are many factors that play into this potential 10% long-term return, like what you invest your money in, the amount and type of investment fees you're paying, how much your financial advisor or investment broker charges you for their services, your willingness to keep your money invested in good times and in bad times, how successful you are at portfolio diversification and using tax-advantaged accounts like the 401k, IRA, and HSA. Also, you need to ask yourself, if you're actually going to invest the money. With more money in your life, you may be subject to lifestyle inflation and end up not investing as much as you'd think. Pro number two, it makes saving for retirement or early retirement easier. When you buy a house with cash, you'll have no mortgage. Yes, you'll still need to pay for things like property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA dues, utilities, home maintenance, and much, much, much more. But without a mortgage, your annual living expenses will be a lot lower. There's no denying that. For example, let's say your annual living expenses are $80,000 per year with a mortgage. If you decide to buy a house with cash and avoid a potential mortgage payment that's principal and interest only of $1,000 per month, your annual living expenses are now $68,000. When you're investing for your retirement, it's important to consider those annual living expenses. If you need to cover $80,000 of annual living expenses, then you may need up to $2 million in today's dollars, that is, to cover your needs in retirement. That's using the 4% rule. With only $68,000 of annual living expenses, you'd only need $1.7 million. That's $300,000 less. By decreasing your overall cost of living, you're making it easier to save for your retirement or your early retirement. Con number 2, home equity isn't easy to access. Our family has a paid off house valued at over $500,000. That is cool to say, but we don't really have access to that $500,000. It is purely the perceived value of an asset we own. So if you are interested in having access to more of your cash, buying a home outright versus getting a mortgage might not be the right move for you. A few reasons you might not want so much money tied up in your home would be short-term needs, like the funds needed in an emergency, like job loss, car repairs, insurance deductibles, appliances breaking down, home repairs you didn't expect, or midterm needs, think like 3 to 10 years, home upgrades, car purchases, home renovations, weddings for your kids in the future, larger trips or vacations. While a paid-off home surely does provide a greater sense of pride, it doesn't offer much in the category of liquidity. You could get a home equity line of credit to access that cash if needed, but that process isn't necessarily quick and easy. You could always sell the house too if you need the money, but that process is definitely not quick and easy. Pro number 3, more money to enjoy life now. Living mortgage-free undoubtedly allows you to enjoy more life now. With a lower cost of living, you can modify or upgrade your lifestyle so each of your days today are brighter. For example, when buying a house with cash versus getting a mortgage, one could have the option of going from a full-time job to a part-time job, becoming a stay-at-home parent for a period of time, spending more on vacations, upgrading your home so it's more relaxing and more enjoyable, giving more of your money to causes and passions you care about so you can be the change you want to see in your community and your country and the world. The benefits of a paid-off house are plentiful. Sometimes we get lost in maximizing our wealth that we lose sight of maximizing our happiness as well. That's where I think a paid-off house comes in. Con number 3, you could lose your mortgage interest tax deduction. Depending on your financial situation, you could receive a mortgage interest tax deduction, and that could be another reason to get a mortgage on your house instead of buying it in cash. You know, any opportunity to lower your tax bill is a good enough reason for me. Before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, a lot more people did receive a mortgage interest tax deduction. But after the act was passed, the standard deduction increased significantly. In 2017, the standard deduction for married filing jointly was $12,700. For the 2022 tax year, the standard deduction for married filing jointly is now $25,900. That would mean that your deductions, including things like your mortgage interest, would need to exceed $25,900 if you're married filing jointly for you to want to itemize your deductions. And evidently, 90% of Americans took the standard deduction last year. So before you can call this tax deduction a true con, make sure you plan to itemize your deductions. Otherwise, you're not receiving any true tax savings. All right, that was sort of a pro disguised as a con, but nevertheless, it could be a con, depending on your financial situation. In the end, the decision to buy a house in cash, it's up to you. Do the pros outweigh the cons? If having more access to your money and maximizing more of your wealth in the stock market is important to you, then getting a mortgage on your house is probably a smart move for you. On the other hand, if you're looking to simplify the home purchase process, have more peace of mind, and experience more life now, buying a house with cash is a path that you should consider. A great place to start would be to learn more about your potential payments and how that could affect your home ownership path. You want to know what you're getting into, right? So check out sites like Credible to compare rates with top lenders and then calculate what your mortgage payment could be. With a little more information, you can make an informed decision instead of an impulsive one. After all, this may just be the biggest financial decision of your life. No pressure. Enough from me, everyone. I want to hear from you. What do you think about buying a house in cash versus getting a mortgage? What are the pros and cons that you see, or which ones did I mention resonate with you? Please let us know in the comments below. This is Andy Hill from Marriage, Kids, and Money, signing off. Carpe diem.